Okay, today, boys and girls, I'm going to take a few minutes and do a repair video on the diaphragm of a Shur flow pump and show you how I've been able to extend my service of this pump. I've got my trusty dog Lady. I don't think she's feeling too well today. That's kind of sad. And cooking some rice. And in the meantime, we're going to talk about pumps. Okay, so hopefully you guys can see this okay. This is a Shur Flow 8000 series 12 volt DC pump. I've made a few videos about these with different issues and different problems. This one is out of commission. It actually broke the shaft to the motor, but it'll serve as an example today for what we're doing. So your pump is spinning, it's getting powered, motor's turning around, but you're not getting water. It's not pumping. Sounds like it's pumping, but it's not pumping. This is one issue that I have found over the years, and I'll show you what's happening. So here's the pump head. There are 6 screws. 3 of them are short here because they only go into the diaphragm part itself. Then there's 3 long ones here that go all the way into the housing. Okay, so you're going to need to remove all 6 in order to get it apart. So I'm not going to go through that process, but just wanted to share that with you. So then you would remove the plastic head, and that exposes the diaphragm itself. Okay, hopefully I can make this a little better. Alright, so that exposes the diaphragm itself. Normally, these 2 parts would separate easily, but since my shaft broke off inside the bearing from the motor, you can see that, I haven't separated these 2 pieces yet. I haven't quite figured out a good way to do that without tearing something up. I'm not sure that motor is ever repairable, but anyway. So, I do have some other ones that I have used in the past. We used to talk about this. So once you would pull that off, you would end up with something that looks like this. Okay? This is the diaphragm housing. It comes as one piece. They're usually about $25, anywhere between $25 and $50, depending on where you get them. I'll leave some links on the places that I've found to be the best to buy in the United States. We have these shipped here. Haven't been able to find them yet here in Brazil. So there's nothing to service in here, or so they say. I've actually talked to the engineers at Shur Flow, and they tell me nothing's serviceable. What I found happens is that this piece, the cam, actually separates, right? So it's spinning in here. This is aluminum. This is aluminum. This is stainless steel. This actually gets separated, and they're telling me once this separates, it will never spin right again. It'll never, maintain pressure, maintain force. Well, I've run into a couple of cases where I really needed my pump to keep working and didn't really have time to deal with the import and whatnot. So I tried an experiment, and so far it's held up. And what I've done is, use this one. What I've done is taken 2-part epoxy, 2-part metal epoxy, JB Weld. I actually bought these in these exact tubes in 1998, and they are still working. I have repaired everything from bicycles to leaking gas tanks to all kinds of stuff with this stuff. Great. Fantastic. It's just like metal, but no welding tools. So I mix up a little bit of 2-part epoxy. I put it around this so that as I just, kind of like a maybe a long worm, and then stick it around these little grooves here. And then I force it back into here and let it dry for a day, and then stick it back in service. And that works. So far, that's worked. This one I haven't repaired yet. This one I have. You can see it's used, but it once separated, and I have glued it back together, or JB welded it back together, if you will. And it's ready for a backup. If I have, and I'm sure I'll have this problem again. I've talked with the engineers at Shur, and the only thing that Jim there really said was that it seemed like the motor was going from 0 to full to 0 to full to 0 to full back and forth, and that worked away this piece of aluminum. I don't have any real condition that would do that. I mean, I do have the situation where the voltage is not controlled. In other words, it's connected directly to a solar panel. So they start up as the sun comes, and they start up gradually. I guess sometimes a cloud, disappears pretty quick, and all of a sudden it goes from a resting state up to full speed, but never really instantly. There's always a curve to that. So I'm not sure exactly what else is happening there. And something else I will note too, that evidently something is happening, and there's enough force that it breaks these things loose. Okay. Now I'm not sure how they get these in. Maybe they just press them in. Again, this is aluminum. This is stainless steel. Obviously, the stainless steel is going to be more durable than the aluminum over time. Not exactly sure what's happening. But that being said, evidently in my situation, the motor is receiving enough torque to break this loose, so that when I introduce the JB weld here, when I introduce these guys and glue this together, that makes a secure bond, much more secure than the aluminum just being pressed in there. So now I'll question, the repair worked, and I've done this several times, and it's gotten me through many a situation. But it does bring the question: is that what caused the shearing of these two things, the shaft itself? Since that aluminum couldn't break free, did that create this issue, or is this just something because of all of the years of force? I can't imagine that happening at one time. So I've got to believe that this is not related, but it is something to think about, because I put that aluminum in basically a non-breakaway position by using the JB weld. Did it create then my shaft to shear off? Again, I'm going to go with having replaced several of these over the years. I'm going to go with the idea that just over time the shaft has been weakened, so that when I did use the JB weld, that was just kind of the straw that broke the camel's back. So that being said, maybe this is better for an emergency repair type situation, just to get you through till you can get your factory replacement and maybe not leave it in service. Anyway, something to think about. But hopefully this shed some light on a possible field repair that you can do yourself. Definitely get some JB weld, always good to have handy. They use a lot of Durapoxy, two-part epoxy here. I'm sure that they probably have this same type of product here. I just happened to get these years and years ago, and they've been in my toolbox. So eventually I'll get this thing separated one way or another. And again, not sure what I can do about my broken shaft. And in my next video, I will do the comparison, not necessarily a direct comparison, but just my thoughts between the Shur flow and the Sing flow, which is a replica of this pump. That's the quality is not quite there, and I'll discuss some of my thoughts on it anyway. But anyway, guys, we'll see you next time. Have a great week, great weekend. Talk to you soon.